We're all very nervous. It's 100 years, you know. But this is something that means a great deal to all of us Irish immigrants here, and I'm sure it means a great deal to all the Irish Americans and all the members of the Sons of Erin. This is 100 years since the 1916 rebellion, which was the probably sixth rebellion in a couple of 100 years, but it was a failure on the face of it, in the sense that the rebels were defeated, but they were, in their failure, they inspired a generation to rise up and to attempt to obtain Irish freedom. So I'm going to read you a little historical preamble so we all know the context that we're talking about here, and then we're going to have some people, wonderful people who volunteer their time to do some readings. The readings are going to be letters and other things that were spoken and written from Kilmainham jail, where the leaders of the rising were imprisoned right afterwards. So 100 years ago this year, I remember the 50th anniversary in 1966. I was about 8 years old, and I remember it well. And we thought, over the years, we've thought, a lot of us sitting around here, myself and Jerry Donoghue, wish he was here now, saying, can you imagine, it'll be 100 years in 2016, and will we still be around? Anyway, we're still around. So this is just something I wrote to give people a background to what went on. So on Easter Monday, April 24th, 1916, at around 11 o'clock, about 1,250 members of the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army assembled across Dublin and were dispersed to occupy several positions in the city. It was the culmination of almost a year of planning that had begun in earnest in May of the previous year. The rising had originally been planned for Easter Sunday, but the order to rise up had been countermanded on Saturday by Owen MacNeill, head of the Irish Volunteers. MacNeill and other moderates in the movement felt that it had no chance to succeed, and the capturing on Good Friday of 20,000 rifles being smuggled from Germany into Bannistrand and Kerry seemed to strengthen their argument. The result of this last-minute cancellation was that most volunteers stayed home on Sunday. Those who did turn out returned home later that day. However, hardline elements in the movement, including James Connolly, head of the Socialist Irish Citizen Army, Tom Clark, Patrick Pearse, and others, insisted that the rising must go ahead on Monday. And so at 12:30 on Easter Monday morning, a column of approximately 150 men, including Sean McDermott, Thomas McDonough, James Plunkett and Tom Clark, and led by James Connolly and Patrick Pearse, set out from Liberty Hall and marched northwards up what was then Sackville Street, now O'Connell Street. They aroused no suspicion, as the sight of volunteers drilling and parading had become commonplace. However, when they reached the Imperial Hotel at the top of Sackville Street, the column wheeled left and rushed to the General Post Office, ejecting the public, and began fortifying that position. The Union Jack atop the building was pulled down and replaced with two different flags. One green flag, emblazoned in gold with the words Irish Republic, and the other the green, white and orange tricolour, which has become the national flag of Ireland. Padraig Pearse, Commander General of the Rebel Forces, then walked outside and, standing in front of the GPO, General Post Office, read the Proclamation of the Irish Republic, which I have to read now. If I can find it in my notes here. So Padraig Pearse stood on the steps of the GPO and read the following proclamation, and this document in Irish history is akin to the American Declaration of Independence. Is the easiest way I can explain it. Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and of the dead generations from which she receives her old tradition of nationhood, Ireland through us summons her children to her flag and strikes for her freedom. Having organised and trained her manhood through her secret revolutionary organisation, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, and through her open military organisations, the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army, having patiently perfected her discipline, having resolutely waited for the right moment to reveal itself, she now seizes that moment, and supported by her exiled children in America and by gallant allies in Europe, but relying in the first on her own strength, she strikes in full confidence of victory. We declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies to be sovereign and indefeasible. The long usurpation of that right by a foreign people and government has not extinguished the right, nor can it ever be extinguished, except by the destruction of the Irish people. In every generation, the Irish people have asserted their right to national freedom and sovereignty. 6 times during the past 300 years, they have asserted it in arms. Standing on that fundamental right and again asserting it in arms in the face of the world, we hereby proclaim the Irish Republic as a sovereign, independent state, and we pledge our lives and the lives of our comrades in arms to the cause of its freedom, of its welfare, and of its exaltation among the nations. The Irish Republic is entitled to, and hereby claims, the allegiance of every Irish man and Irish woman. The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities to all its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and of all its parts, cherishing all of the children of the nation equally and oblivious of the differences carefully fostered by an alien government which have divided a minority from a majority in the past. Until our arms have brought the opportune moment for the establishment of a permanent national government, representative of the whole people of Ireland and elected by the suffrages of all her men and women, the provisional government hereby constituted will administer the civil and military affairs of the Republic in trust for its people. We place the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessings we invoke upon our arms, and we pray that no one who served that cause will dishonour it by cowardice, inhumanity, or rapine. In this supreme hour, the Irish nation must, by its valour and discipline, and by the readiness of its children to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny to which it is called. Signed on behalf of the Provisional Government, Thomas J. Clarke, Sean McDermott, P.H. Pearce, James Connolly, Thomas McDonough, Eamon Cant, Joseph Plunkett. And those are the men whose letters we're going to hear from Kilmainham Jail. They had no chance against the British Empire. And they kind of knew they had no chance. But they went out and they did it, and they hoped somehow to spark a flame that would rise up against the British, and indeed that is what happened. So the first reading we're going to have is